Welcome to Next in Dev. In this video, we'll learn about functions. Functions are basically a piece of or a block of code that performs a specific task. For example, when you press a switch, light turns on. So pressing a switch is a specific function which is binded that turns on the light. Similarly, in programming language, we create multiple functions. Why there was a need of functions? Whenever we create a program, we create multiple logics. We add complex theories in our program. Most of these theories are used multiple times. So in order to write these codes multiple times, what we do is we create a function and we use that function multiple times. So it helps in reducing the size of the code, and also makes your code more modularized, which is easy to debug in future. Modularization is basically dividing your code into smaller pieces. For example, as I've told you the light switch example, there would be 10 or hundreds of light switch in a particular house or a building. Each light switch will perform a specific task. So in order to write a new code for each light switch, what we could do is we could create a function of that switch, and that function will be traversed to each switch. So it will help in reducing the development time and also reduce the size of the code. So let's come back to our programming language things. So in order to create a function, as I've already told you that main is a function. So first we write a func keyword. After that, we write the name of the function. So let's create a main function. As I've already told you that the main is the entry point of any application. If you want to execute this file, the compiler will execute this function, and whatever function is associated with this function will be executed. So let's create some external function. So in order to create an external function or a user-defined function, we have the similar functionality. First, we write the func keyword. Func keyword is generic. We have to use this whenever we want to create any function. Then what we could do is we could write the name of the function. So it should like name of the function. Then what we have is we have this circular braces. Inside this, we provide parameter to the function. It is not necessary to provide parameter, but if you want to use parameter, then you could provide it here. There are, again, you could divide functions into two parts, like parameterized function or non-parameterized function. Parameterized function takes the parameter, non-parameterized function doesn't take the parameter. You got the point. Then on this line, what we do is we provide what will this function return. If we leave this blank, that means that this function won't return anything. But if we write like int here, int or string, something like that, then it will tell the compiler, yeah, this function will execute and return two things. It will return an integer and it will return a string. So it should look like type of return. Then we have to create a curly braces. Inside this curly braces, we'll write our business logic, whatever the function will perform, and then we'll return it. So this is the basic structure of any function. So let's create a basic function like a greeting function. Let's do that first. Func greet. Again, it would take the person name that you want to greet. So name, and again, whenever we pass the parameter, first we pass the name and second the type of that parameter. We could also use a comma to, add more parameters such as age. Again, it would be a type int, and you got the point how you can add multiple parameters here. Then what you could do is we could say that, okay, it will return a string, and then the curly braces will start. As you can see, I am not returning here anything. That's why the compiler is giving me an error that you need to return a string. So let's create a string first. So first create a variable, greet variable. Okay, the name of the function is greet. You can't use that. Okay, let's use this. Now inside this variable, we'll create a string that would greet this user. So for that, we will be using fmt package. Inside this fmt package, we have sprintf. So we have been using printf. So what is sprintf? So sprintf basically it takes a string as an formatted string as an input and returns a string. So if you want to do any sort of manipulation on the string and want to return it, then we have to use sprintf. So let's do that. So hello, wait, yeah, hello, and for formatting, as I've already told you, we have to use %v. Then nice to meet you. And then again, the whatever if you want to pass in the %v, you have to write it here. So it's the name, And yeah, now we have to just return this. Yeah, see. So all the errors are gone as I'm returning a string. If I'll not return the string, then see it gives me an error that I have already told that we are returning a string here, but I am not returning here anything. That's why it is giving me an error. If I would remove that, again it will give me an error that you are saying here that you are not returning anything, but you are returning here. So that doesn't work here. So Golang has a great compiler. It tells you whatever whenever you are doing something wrong. So let's execute this function. So again, in order to execute this function, we first write the name of the function, that is greet. After writing the name of the function, we again use a circular braces, whatever you call it. Inside this, we pass the parameters. So as you can see, it is giving me a hint that we need to pass a name, which is a string. If I pass a number, it says cannot use 12 because it is an int. You cannot convert an integer to a string directly here. So you need to pass like anything. Like let's pass Andrew here. Now it would be executed automatically. I always add semicolon because I have a habit of adding, but in Golang, you don't need to add any semicolon. All right, so let's first go. Oh, okay, we are in L6. Then let's run this program. It didn't do anything. Oh, okay, okay, sorry. As it is returning something, it is not directly printing. We need to print this. fmt.println. Whatever this function will be written will be printed by this package. As you can see, you have our message here. Again, you could pass anything like Jake or anything, any sort of name, it would again change according to it. So this is a basic structure of function. So now let's create a function that would accept multiple parameters and also return multiple things. Let's see how we can do that. So again, the syntax would be similar. We need to write func. Then any name we could give like magic. Again, it doesn't matter whatever you give. We will take first number as int and second number again as int. So we are taking two numbers in this function, and this function would add these two numbers and return it, and also multiply these two numbers and return it. I know it's a basic function, but we are here to learn a concept. Again, if you want to return multiple things, okay, so first let's see. If you want to return a single thing, again, any like you want to multiply these two number return, then just write the type of it. But when you want to return multiple things, you need to again create a circular braces. Inside this, you need to write all the types that you want to enter, like int and int, like this. So this is how you could, create a function that would return multiple things. You need to create this circular bracket, then inside this all the types, then the close with it a circular bracket. After that, what we have to do is we have to again perform the actions. So what we are doing is first we are adding it. So num1 plus num2, again basic thing, and multiplying it. Yeah. Again, these are the arithmetic operators that I have told you about. Okay, now we can return this. So in order to return it, just add and multiply. So when you want to return multiple things, you can chain it with a comma. When you want to add multiple parameters, you could also chain it with comma. And also when you want to add any multiple types, then also you could use comma. So comma is basically used when you want to add multiple things into a function. That's a general convention. And just remember that when you want to return multiple things, you need this circular bracket. So again, let's see. In order to again execute this function, as I have told you, we need to have the name of the function, like the magic. Inside this, as you can see, this is called a function signature. What this function would do. So it would take an two numbers, like let us give 5 and 4, and it is returning two numbers. So let us assign these numbers to something like n1 and n2. Okay, as you can see here, we have defined two number n1 and n2. As I've told you, whenever you want to extract multiple things, or you could chain it with comma, as this function is returning two things, so we could use this n1 and n2 here. If I write only n1c, it will again yell me at different error that assignment of one variable, but magic function returns two variables. So we need to assign it to two different variables. All right, then let's print this. N1 and N2. Let's see what happens. As you can see, our function get executed like 5 plus 4 is 9 and 5 into 4 is 20. Basic maths, nothing special here. But what if you only you have this function, you don't have this access to this function, and you only want it to add two numbers, not multiply two numbers, and you don't have any other function as well. And you're so what you would do is you could extract this function with n1 n2, and you could use this n1 into some further function. But again, your compiler will yell at you that okay, you are using n2, you have declared it, but you are not using it anywhere else. So what is the need of it? Then remove it. So okay, we'll remove it. Then we'll get another error that okay, it is this function returns two variable, but we are using only one. So how to solve this problem? So in order to solve this problem, we could ignore a one variable. How to do that? For that, we could use an underscore. Whenever you write an underscore, the Go compiler gets the idea. Okay, you are it returns to function, but you are only extracting one and you are ignoring one. So see, all the errors are gone. And now if I run this function, as you can see, you have no error here. So this is how you could create a function and return multiple things. And also one other thing, what I would like to say is, we could add the name to also what this return thing is doing. Like you could add here add, and you could add here multiply like this. The name is similar. You could add addition here. Yeah, that doesn't matter. So what I have done here is I have added the name to the, it is also called name return function. It would just give a better idea to whatever developer is working with this function. Okay, if I pass two variable, the first thing will be the addition and second thing will be the multiplication. So if I hover here, see it accepts two parameter and it returns an addition as a first parameter and multiplication as a second parameter. So this gives you a better idea. Oh, okay, I can get this function, how to use it. What if I don't have this access to the function? How would I get to know which is n1, which is n2, or which is addition, which is multiplication? So this is where this named return function are used. So let's take an example where you are working on a project and the manager asks you to create a function which would return a sum of two numbers. So you'll be like, okay, we could do that. So it would be just sum, n1 would be int, and n2 would be again int, and it would return an int. Not panic. Panic is basically an error state. We'll discuss that later. And it will just return n1 plus n2. Okay, basic maths, nothing special. So again, your manager says that okay, this is good, but I also need a functionality that would return a sum of three numbers. So the basic programmer, what it would do is it would copy this function, paste it here, and again three, and it would again chain on with n3 with int, and it could return this n3 here. But again, is it a good way of doing it? Because what was the actual purpose of function? To reduce the size of code, and whatever code is performing a similar functionality should be clubbed into a similar function. But as you can see here, these two function performs almost the same task. It is whatever the parameter is passed, it is adding all those numbers. But what we are doing here is we are just creating multiple functions of the same functionality. So it is not a good practice. So to avoid these problems, variadic functions were created. In these sorts of function, the number of parameters is not fixed. So let me show you how to code this. So first of all, write func. Then the name would be again sum. Okay, then it would have nums. Because whatever the parameter will be passed to it, it would be clubbed into a slice. What is slice? I will discuss about slice in later videos. First, I need to cover pointers, then I will go to slice. Then what it does is it uses a group operator. So in order to create that, you need this three dots. Then you need to specify the type of it. So it is int. What it does it, whatever the number of parameter will pass to this function, it will club into array. You can assume it as an array and return the sum of it. So as you can see here, if you hover over nums, it is a type of an array. So we could use a for loop, which we have discussed earlier, in order to traverse this array. So yeah, so let's for, as we don't have size here, then we could use that range for loop. So first is index, second is val, range of nums. Beside this, we could perform those operation, and also we need a sum that would return. So we could create an answer variable, type integer, and this answer variable we could use here in order to calculate the sum. So answer plus equals val. What I'm doing here is this is a shorthand of writing this. Answer is equal to answer plus val. So you could either write this or you could either write this. This both means the same thing, nothing special, but just this is a short way of writing it. And most commonly we'll find this. Just return it. So now let's test this function. Will it work? Let's see. So this function is returning a sum. So let's, take answer here, and it will return a sum of, let's take two numbers, 1 and 2. Println and answer. Let's see what it does. So it returns 3, as you can see here. This is the, wait, let me just, comment these out. And what if I pass 3 parameters? It would still work. 1 plus 2 is 3, 3 plus 3 is 6. You could pass any number of parameters, it doesn't matter. It would club all them into a single array and perform your addition. See, 45, that's the correct answer. So as you can see here, in order, you could create a function that could perform multiple tasks, and you could write a single block of code for it. You don't need to create multiple function like for one sum, then two sum and all that. So how easy it is to do it. So this is called a variadic function. So anonymous functions are those functions which does not take any name and is executed at the time of its declaration. So in order to create an anonymous function, we have to write again the func keyword. Then we don't need to specify the name because it is anonymous. Then the curly braces, and then you need to execute at the time of its creation. So this is the basic syntax of creating an anonymous function. These functions are generally created when you don't need any extra overhead, because whenever a function is created and you execute that function is added to the overhead of the stack, so which increases the size of the program. So when you have to create a basic function that you don't want to use it multiple times and also reduce the overhead size, then you create an anonymous function. You could search about this, about the stack and the function calling more on internet. It is quite useful to know these things. Then this function will again just say welcome to or hello world. Yeah, the basic thing. And this function will be executed here only. The whenever we use this thing, it means that it is being executed. So again, let's test this out. As you can see, you have hello world. Okay, it is being, let's add backslash n. It adds a new line. See, we have hello world here. So this is called anonymous function. So higher order functions are basically those functions that takes another function as an input parameter and returns something. Let me show you by code. So let us assume that we are creating a function, and this function takes three parameters. First is two numbers, and the third parameter is a function that would operate on these two numbers. So let's do that. So let's create a function called higher order function. In this, we will take two parameters. So a would be an int and b would be an int. Okay, so there is another shorthand way of writing these things. So if we have two parameters with the same type, what we could do is we could just club them like this, like a comma b, and the compiler knows, okay, a and b both are integers. So this is the short way of writing it. Then the third is a function. Okay, it will take a function and it would divide these two numbers. Let's take that. So let's write func1, and it would be of type a division function, diff function. Okay, so it says that there is nothing like a diff function type. So we need to define the signature of this function. So in order to define a signature of this function, we have a type keyword. So let's do that. So type. Then the name of the function would be again diff func, which we have created here. So division function. Then a function, not this. So this function would take two parameters. It would take an integer. It would again take an integer. It would take two integers and return the division of it. So the division is generally in float. So let's do that. So float 64. So what I've created here is, this is called a function signature. It starts with a type keyword. Then the name of the signature is difffunc, which I'm using here. Then the function, it takes two parameters. We don't need to write name here. We just need to say, okay, these are the two types of parameter and what it returns. So this is how you could create a function signature here. So let's get back to our higher order function. This function takes two parameters and a function. Whenever you pass in a function to a higher order function, it returns another function. So it would just return this div function. Sorry, the func one, the function is the signature, and it would give A and B. Okay, so I need to add here float 64, which I completely forgot to add. That's why it was yelling at me that you haven't specified what it would return. This higher order function will return this function, and this function will return a float 64. So you need to tell that. So let's create this. Okay, so let's create this, function that we would pass to this function. So func div, it would again take two parameters. As I have told you, you could write in this way as well, and it would return a float 64. So as you know, these both are integers, so we cannot directly write this because integer divided by an integer would be an integer. First, we need to typecast it. So float 64, then a by b. So this is a higher order function which takes another function as an input parameters and return that function. So this is called an higher order function. Let's execute that. So let's create a variable and execute that. So the first parameter is a number, what, let's try 20 and 4. Then the function that we have created, this diff function, we could pass that. That's it. And we could print this. So fmt dot print ln, whatever you like. Let's execute this. As you can see, you got 5 here. So that's all from this video. I hope you like it. And please do like and subscribe. It means a lot to me. Thank you for watching.